Good afternoon, everybody. International Mother Language Day is therefore also a day to claim language, preserve one's culture, and defend one's rights. And here we have one of the outspoken rebellionists, Dr. Sowvendra Shekhar Hansda. He is a doctor by profession but a translator and Indian writer by passion. His notable books on Santali community are Mysterious Element of Rupi Baske, The Adivasi Will Not Dance, My Father's Garden, Jwala Kumar and the Gift of Fire, Adventures in Champak Bagh, My Father's Garden, Who is There, Sumi Budhi and Sugi. Translation of Manoj Rupdan's Hindi novel Kale Adhyay, translated in English, I Named My Sister Silence, etc. He received the Yuva Award in 2015 for his debut novel, was nominated for the Hindu Literary Prize and Crossword Book Award in 2014, the International Dublin Literary Award in 2016, and jointly received the Muse India Young Writer Award in 2015. The multidimensionality as well as the marginalized voices are relevant in his narratives. While talking about his ethnographic identity and Santali livelihood, his writing is full of internal and external tensions, which always opens up a window to the question of identity. The topic of his speech today is the language of my writing journey so far. Crossing the language barrier, today we will learn from him the story of Santals in the English language. Thank you. Sir, over to you.
I have prepared a speech, but I'm not sure if I'll be reading it out because all this is quite overwhelming for me. Okay, so Johar and good afternoon, everyone. All the honorable guests present here today, and the faculty, scholars, and everyone at the ILSR. This is actually an honor. This is this is quite overwhelming, really. To be standing here at this place on the occasion of the International Mother Language Day, addressing a gathering, I'm full of gratitude, and I do not really know if I deserve this. Actually, what happened is I have known Shripati Gomke since quite long. Like we were friends on Facebook, and then I met him in person in the year 2017, which was a very important year in my life. And I think it was an event held in Bandwan, which is in Purulia district. And yes, it was a literary event hosted by a Santali lit mag. That is when I met Mr. Shripati Tudu. And he told me, or rather I got acquainted with the work, that important work that he was doing in the field of expressing the ideas which have been put down in one language into another language. That is, he was, along with other Santali scholars, they were translating Bangla textbooks into Santali for the benefit of Santali speaking students in their own language, in our own language, that is, in our own script, Olchiki. And yes, the connection remained. And in the year 2022, I went to meet him again in Purulia, but this time it was a new life for me. In 2017, I was in Ghatshila. In 2018, I came to Chandel, which is a place in the Saraikela district of Jharkhand, and started working at a hospital there, where I'm still working, the community health center or the subdivisional hospital. I'm the head of that place. And in 2022, I went to meet Shripati Gomke once again to congratulate him, of course, and also to do a profile on him because he had just accomplished something quite huge. He had translated portions from the Constitution of India into Santali in the Olchiki script. And when I asked him the reason for that particular endeavor, he told me that so that our people, the tribals, the indigenous people, might know what their rights are, what is there in the constitution for them. So I did this profile on Shripati Tudu, and it was published later on. in the same year in the Independence Day issue of Open magazine. So I have known him for quite long, and when he asked me if I could come down here to the ILSR, I was like, I'm not doing it. But then he got me in touch with Dr. Guha, and I agreed, but I was like, do I really deserve this? Because ILSR is a I've written something about the ILSR as well. I took it all from the website of this institution. So the Institute of Language Studies and Research is engaged in this vital work in the field of research and documentation of language and culture related materials, translation studies, and training in cultural and linguistic interaction. To be present, to be invited to a place which is doing such an exemplary work, I should again say that I'm overwhelmed, but maybe I'll be able to speak something about my writing journey so far and the language of my writing journey. I do not know the language of my writing journey because I am working between 4 languages. My mother tongue is Santhali, and English is the language which was the medium of my education, the language which I learnt in school. Hindi is the language which I picked up from the world outside and the popular culture, and also studied it as a subject and took exams in when I was in school. And the fourth language is Bengali, the language which was perhaps the only non-mother language, language that was widely spoken in the place where I grew up. I grew up in Ghatshila, and I have heard, should I say, both kinds of Bangla or several kinds of Bangla, because one is the Bangla which I read in magazines, like it is the Bhadralok Bangla, and another is the Rar Bangla which we speak in the countryside and which has several accents. Like the village where I grew up, it is Santhal village, but there are also people from the Kamar, that is the blacksmith community, and the Kunkal, that is the potter community. I have heard their accent a bit different from, let's say, the Mahato people, who are in a huge number in the place where I'm living in right now, that is Chandel, which is very close to Purulia, so there's always an overlapping of culture. So these are the 4 languages in which I am currently, uh, covering this literary journey of mine, if it can be called so. So my literary journey, I think it started in school itself, or maybe from my childhood, because my parents, they were both voracious readers. My family was filled with books and stories. I was born in the year 1983 in the medical college in Ranchi, which is now known as RIMS, that is the Rajendra Institute of Medical Sciences. But at that time when I was born, it was RMCH, or the Rajendra Medical College. It was named after Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of the Republic of India. And my mom was in her 3rd year when I was born. And even though I was born in Ranchi, my roots are somewhere in the south, in a village called Kishoripur, which is in the Chakulia block of East Singhbhum district. And my parents, they were working in the Hindustan Copper Limited. My mother, she worked in the hospital of that company, and my father, he worked in the factory. And this was in Mobhandar. Mobhandar is the township where this company is located. It is like 5 kilometers from Ghatshila, which is the nearest railway station. My education happened in Mosabani. I think these names are familiar. So Mosabani is like 8 kilometers from Mobhandar on the other side of the river Sowvendra Rekha. I grew up by the river Sowvendra Rekha. The township was fed by the water of the river Sowvendra Rekha. So yes, in my childhood, I sort of, I was given all sort of books to read. There were story books, there were picture books, there were comics, and those books sort of created sort of a template in my mind of what a book should be if I were to write a book someday. So I took plots from those books I read. I read fairy stories, uh, Puss in Boots and Cinderella and all that. And I used to emulate those books, the illustrations on the verso side and the text on the recto side. So I used to create my own books, staple those pages together. So that is how I actually began. But I was first published in the year 1998 when I was, I think, 15 years old. It was a short story in the newspaper, The Asian Age. They used to run a column called School Age, which was specifically for school students. There were other magazines to which I read at that time, which accepted submissions from school children. Like there was Gokulam, a very popular magazine, English magazine for children in the 1990s. It was published out of Chennai. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it is being published anymore. So in 1998, I was published for the first time, and then there were my board exams and my plus two. So somehow I did not catch up on my writing. But there were two stories, 2 or 3 stories which I read in Hindi at that time. They were in our syllabus. Uh, One was Wapsi by Usha Priyamadaji. Um, and I had decided at that time only that one day maybe I will translate this story into English, and I did it this year. Sorry, not this year, in 2023. Yeah. And okay, I'm digressing from that. I'm not going a linear way. So yes, so because of my board exams and my plus two, I stopped writing for a bit. But starting from the year 2002, I started writing more stories. There was this website also, freshlimesoda.com, which used to uh, publish book reviews and film reviews and music reviews from its readers or viewers. So I used to submit stuff to that website as well. Then there was another very important website called sulekha.com, which unfortunately now is a classifieds website, but at that time it was a very important and very popular uh, creative writing website as well. So I had stuff published there as well. So from 2002 onwards, I started writing. In 2007, I started writing more regularly. In 2007, I had a short opinion piece published in the Times of India. And in the same year, there was a story which was published in Indian Literature magazine of the Sahitya Academy. In 2010, there was another story of mine which was published in the Indian Literature magazine. And in 2011, I seriously started writing a book. This turned out to be The Mysterious Element of Rupi Baske, which was finally accepted in the year 2012 and published in 2014. And then there was this collection of short stories, The Adivas Will Not Dance, and after that there was, as they say, no looking back. I started writing more, translating more. I got a confidence that yes, if I pitch something good, then maybe it would be accepted. Maybe it would, at least someone will take a look at it, read it, and give me the opinion on it, even if it's not published. So this confidence, it sort of pushed me further. And then in 2016, I started translating. I had translation in my mind. Like I told you, there was a story by Usha Priyamadaji, which I had wanted to translate since the time I was in school. But I wasn't. I didn't actively start translating. There's this website called Asymptote, which which is a translation website. It publishes poems and uh, essays and stories in translation. So, an editor from Asymptote, they wrote to me asking me if I would like to translate something from Santali, which is my mother tongue. I was working in Pakur at that time. Pakur, which is in the one of the 6 districts in the Santhal Pargana Commissionary in Jharkhand. So I was acquainted with a writer there. His name was Shibu. His name is Shibu Tutu. He is a school teacher, and he had once told me that he had written a short non-fiction piece, uh, a sort of a historical piece about a custom among the Santhals, but it was not published. So I asked him if I could translate it, and he said yes. So I did. I translated that work. It was an interesting work, an interesting anecdote that he had written about. And then when I sent it to Asymptote, they told me that they would also need the original, the original in the script in which Santhali is written. Because in Asymptote, a work is published in 2 versions. The first is the original version, and the second one is the translation. So this was a bit of a hard work, but then uh, there was another acquaintance at CDAC who helped me with the Unicode script, how I could type out Santhali words in the Old Chiki font in my computer. And so I submitted both the original as well as my translation, and then it was published. And then I started translating more. I had met Parimal Hansda, the poet, and a winner of the Sahitya Academy Yuva Puraskar in the year 2016 for Santhali. I had met Suchitra Hansda, who was my co-winner at the Sahitya Academy Yuva Puraskar event in the year 2015. And that was, and I started translating them as well. And my translation of Parimal Hansda's poems were published in Scroll. And then I translated a Hindi story by Mr. Vanendra, well-known writer as well as bureaucrat, and currently the director of the Dr. Ramdayal Munda Tribal Research Institute in Ranchi. And what else did I translate? Yeah, there were these poems by Mr. Manish Mundra, the film producer, and yeah, some more poems by another Santali poet, Chinmay Hansda Marandi, and Suchitra Hansda. And then I translated. Okay. There's nothing I'm forgetting. I was in college at that time in the year 2006 when I read Mr. Manoj Rupra for the first time, and it was a longish story he had published in a very well-known Hindi lit mag called Vagarth, which is published out of Calcutta, right here, published by the Bharatiya Bhasha Parishad. And it was a very long story, but very interesting story. About it was set in 2 cities, one Bombay as well as Nagpur, and it told and it was set among the Parsis of India, and it was sort of some kind of a statement against industrialization, but was also a very touching story of the bond between a father and a son, and the regret that the son feels when he sees his father all helpless, and he realizes that he had been ignoring his father for so long, and his father is helpless now, and he can't do anything about it. So a very touching story, and I had decided it right then that yeah, one day I'll translate this story as well. And so I did that, and in the year 2023 it was published. And after translating Mr. Rupra's story, and between the time it was published, I started translating another very interesting book. I guess you all must have heard of it. The book is called Shubhanarenu Shubhanarekha. It is in Bangla, written by Nalini Bera, and it won the Ananda Purashkar in the year 2019. So I translated this book. It is in the submission stage right now. But even while I was translating Nalini Bera's book, Mr. Manoj Chopra, he asked me if I would like to read a novel of his. And I said, yes, why not? And then he sent me the book. The novel was Kale Adhyay, The cover was absolutely non-inspiring, but the content was top-notch, and I was like, I have to translate this. So I stopped translating Mr. Nalini Bera's book for a while, and then like 1 month or 1.5 months, I finished translating Kalyadhyay. And it was submitted in a huge hurry, it was published in a huge hurry. We were racing against the time to get the book published, uh, you know, editing it, revising passages, and fixing the spelling errors and all. I was I was helped by one person while I was translating Kale Adhyay. So Kale Adhyay is set in Bastar among the Koitur people, who I think are officially known as the Gond people. So since it was a novel set among another indigenous community, I thought that maybe I should have someone from that community to help me with the words, with the context, with the way the Koitur people have their, the system of naming. So I took help from a lady who is based in Bastar. Her name is Rosie Gowde, and she was the first reader of the manuscript of I Named My Sister Silence, and I'm really helpful to her. I'm really grateful for her help, because she helped me with all those uh, those nuances which are associated with the Koitur community. And then it was published in the year 2023, and it got some good reviews, and then it was shortlisted for the JCB Prize. So right now I am awaiting the publication of my translation of Mr. Nalini Bera's novel, Shubhana Rekha. The tentative title is Gold River, but of course Gold River does not really express that those emotions, those feelings which Shubhana Rekha brings out. But hopefully we can come up with a more suitable title, and the book is ready for publication. I'm again translating. Just 2 months ago, I translated Kudali Manikavil. Kudali Manikavil is an amazing writer. I'll I'll really recommend her works to everyone. There is something very crazy and very weird about the stuff she writes, and it's all so engrossing. It just draws you in. Like in one of Kudali Manikavil's story, there is a man who is taking cats out of his mouth, and because he's taking cats out of his mouth, you just want to read the entire story. Like, why is he taking cats out of his mouth? So this story was a sort of a sad story which was published in her debut story collection, Insects Are Just Like You and Me, Except Some of Them Have Wings. The story is called Pawai, and it was how long? It was I think it was 4 pages long. So I translated it and I sent it to this Hindi lit mag called Vanamali Katha, which is published out of Bhopal, and they published it in their January 2024 issue. And there is a YouTuber called Dr. Varsha who has also read it out on YouTube, so it is there as well. And yeah, these are my translation works and writing works so far. I also write for children. Like, there was this book I wrote, Jwala Kumar and the Gift of Fire, which got some attention. Did not sell too many copies, but it is okay. It is out now in a new cover. It is now called Jwala Kumar, the Dragon Who Came to Champak Bagh. Then there was this children's book I wrote, Who's There? Who's There is a story which I heard from my family when I was a child. It was the story of a farmer in whose house some ghosts, a mother ghost has taken shelter, and she has delivered babies there, while the father ghost is out somewhere, trying to make a livelihood to be able to support his family. So every morning when the farmer, he goes out to work in his fields, the mother ghost, she calls out to the farmer. The farmer has a kodal or a hoe which he carries on his shoulder to be able to work in the fields. So the Mother goes, she calls out to the farmer, "E kodal dhora, Bhutan ki boli devi, Bhutanir chana hoiche." And when I was a child, this passage used to make me laugh so much. So I thought, okay, let me write a story about it. And so I did. And it was illustrated in very wacky illustrations by Anupama Ajinkya Apte. It's a lovely book, and because it's my book, so it's a lovely book. And then there's another children's story I read, Sumi Budhi and Sugi, which was published by Pratham Books. But because it was published during the COVID, they published the online edition first, which can be read on Storyweaver platform. And then in 2021, they came out with the very huge, very lovely paperback with very lovely illustrations by Joanna Mendes. So, Sumi Budhi and Sugi was inspired by a site I used to see on some days when I did my MBBS from MJ Medical College, which is in Jamshedpur, and my hometown is of course Kachila or Mobhanda rather. So there's a distance of like 30 kilometers between both these places. So often I would travel from home and I used to catch a bus from the national highway. The national highway has changed completely, a flyover has come up at that place. But when I was commuting from home to my college, that national highway was sort of smallish, we could easily cross it. And there was a small, some pangumti kind of a shop there by the side of the road, and there was a village at some distance. And then an elderly woman, she used to come from the village and to buy something at that what you call it, a shop or a kiosk. And she was followed by a duck. I'm not sure if it was a goose or a duck, but my memory is playing games with me right now. But it was a duckish kind of a bird that used to follow its mistress around. And the woman, she used to walk all the way from a village with the duck following her, and then she would stop at the shop, she would buy something, and the duck would stand patiently. Then she would again turn around and go back, and the duck would follow her. So this is the story which I wrote in Sumi Bodhi and Sugi. So Sumi Bodhi is an elderly woman, and Sugi is her pet. And there's also cat in there because I love cats. So yeah, this is my writing life so far. But writing is also a kind of a privilege. Like I mentioned this author Puralima Manikavel, who I'm quite fond of, and I was reading to a podcast interview of hers, in which she has very, in which she said quite very pertinent things which totally sort of resonated with me. Like she said that yes, writing is what you call it, a privilege. If you are being able to write, it means that you are, if you are being able to write, if you are being able to express yourself, you are privileged. So yes, I agree to this because I'm not just a writer, I'm also a doctor, and right now I'm working with the government of Jharkhand. I'm posted in Chandin, I'm telling you again, and I'm the head of the Sarkari hospital there, and there's a lot of work, of course. So finding time is also a luxury. Finding time is also a luxury. Think about plots as a luxury. But yes, we have to struggle. That struggle everywhere. I may not be able to do longer original works like novel or novella and all that, but I'm trying to uh, do original long forms like uh, my hometown Gharshila was home to a very famous writer, Vibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay, who had a house there. It has been restored into a kind of a museum, a kind of a memorial for him. It is known as Gori Kunja. So I attended his uh, anniversary celebration there one year. I think it was in 2022. And then I wrote a longish essay on it, and it was published in The Caravan. Um, I think it was published in the January 2023 issue of Caravan. Shah Rukh Khan was in the cover. And then in 2023 itself, I was deputed in Devghar, uh, which is again one of the districts in Santhal Pargana Commissionary. There is an annual Shravani Mela in Devghar. So I was deputed there for like a month, and I saw some two very beautiful libraries there. One is a government library, another one is a library which is run through the support of the people through donations, and all that. So I wrote a longish essay on those two libraries, but specifically the library which is run with the help of the public. And this too was published in the Caravan magazine. Then I wrote a story about horse statues that I saw in the Saraikela district where I work and live. I was intrigued by those horse statues. I wrote a longish essay on it, and it was published in 52. So these are the works which I'm trying, and of course there was this profile I did on Shripati Gomke, and what else did I publish? Oh yes, there was an essay as well on food habits which I wrote for the Frontline. Then there was a book I read, a biography of the actress Parveen Babi, and the emotions that reading those books, it generated those emotions in me. So I wrote an essay on that as well, which is published in the Hindu. So even in the midst of all the work that I'm having to do, I'm trying to find out time to be able to write, just to stay in touch with words and books. And of course there is translation. There's a lot of translation I have to do. There's a children's book which I'm trying to finish. Then there are stories by Mr. Manoj Rupra which I plan to translate from Hindi. Then there is a huge novel by Mr. Nalini Vera called Shabar Charit, which is like 700 pages now. So if I'm lucky, perhaps I may be able to translate that as well. So this is my writing journey. Thank you so much.